Hello and welcome to the A.D.H.Deep-Dive, the show that's not about ADHD, but is filled with proof it exists. My name is David J. Mund, and before we get started today, I just wanted to let you know that not only does this episode feature Katy and Andrew from KatAndCrew.com, but it is also brought to you by KatAndCrew.com. I've been mentioning this for a few weeks now, but this episode is supported by KatAndCrew.com. And this week only, if you head to KatAndCrew.com and enter the promo code MONDAY, M-U-N-D-A-Y, M-U-N-D-A-Y, Monday at KatAndCrew.com to get 10% off your final purchase, plus a free surprise special gift in your order. So you're not gonna see it at checkout. It's just gonna arrive in the package. It'll be a fun little bonus content that you get. You can go to KatAndCrew.com and join the Sad Boys or Sad Girls Club with these rad koozies. Spice up the house with these snake-shaped tea light candle holders. You can pop a plant in their super cool skull planter, and so many more things that we will actually talk about later on in the episode. So remember, just go to KatAndCrew.com, enter the promo code MONDAY, M-U-N-D-A-Y, at checkout to receive 10% off your final order and receive a special gift from Katy and Andrew of KatAndCrew.com for joining the crew yourself. So one more time, KatAndCrew.com, promo code MONDAY, M-U-N-D-A-Y, for 10% off your final order. Welcome to the crew, and let's get into the show.
Not anything that's like toured or played shows. I was like in a pop punk band in high school, and then I was in like an all-girl rock band in college. More for fun than to like tour and play shows, although I do love that aspect of it. But I'm really hoping that our band that we're in together gets to play a show soon, because we've been working hard. We have like 3 songs so far.
I was actually going to ask, do you guys get more validation from like the writing side of things and releasing, or do you like, is it the shows that makes you feel like a band more?
So my band is like just my best friends, you know? So like, even when we're hanging out and writing, it's just like chilling, and then shows are more of just like a party. And I think that ties into why we haven't like popped up Cat and Crew at shows, because I just kind of disappear at shows.
Sure.
And so I'm like, bye, Katy.
It's totally fine. Like, we're just having.
I will say, from my own particular side of things, like I've gone through the gambit of being a band that played shows, but then we never put music out. Like very early on, like every group of people who want to make a musical project start with like, what do we all know? Like, can we cover a song? So it was a lot of like covers at the start, and then we started making our own music, but we were only releasing that, and for some reason not playing it at these shows. Because everybody else was very insecure about the music that we make. But like, to me, that's like what I'm more focused on. Like, I want to write things, and then the performance comes as like a side of that. I just didn't know if you guys identified in a similar way to that, or.
I can relate to it. Yeah. I think I prefer to like perfect and then play live. Whereas like the guys in my band, they're like, we wrote this 6 song. Do you have vocals for it? No, that sucks. We're playing it.
Yeah. It's really
and
funny.
You guys are more. Go ahead.
Oh, it's really funny too. Like whenever they're like, we have this song, we want to play it, you don't have vocals. And then he'll just go on stage and they'll play the song and he'll just make up vocals as he's like playing this show. And they sound good every single time. And then like he progressively gets lyrics and stuff like that.
I don't know if it's your scene in any way, but do you know the artist Harry Mack? So he's blown up on like the social medias and the shorts.
A rapper, right? A freestyle?
Yeah, freestyle rapper.
Yeah,
he'll like he got big by doing these like Omegle live chat things.
Give me 4 words or whatever.
Yep, give me 4 completely random words, and I'm gonna incorporate them into my freestyle. And it's like the most insane off-the-cuff lyricism that I've ever heard. And like, yes, of course, there are the classics. You know, I'm not huge into the hip-hop world, but like, I'm sure there are those that are better than. But like, he's the best improv freestyler like that's hitting the scene right now that I've seen. That talent. I just mean that talent to be like come up with words on the fly. I just don't have. I have good writing abilities, but like off the cuff is very difficult for me.
there's an algorithm. I have to have like 3 beers, 1 shot, and then if I have anything else to drink, it's just straight shit from there.
So you guys are also part of like what is considered harder bands too, right? Like more hardcore or like rock adjacent harder bands. Is that correct?
So the band that we're in together is a hardcore band.
Yeah.
And then like he has been in bands before No Vision. So he's been playing music and playing shows and touring and stuff like that for a really long time. So he's played like multiple genres.
Yeah, but so No Vision, I guess, is I call us an alternative punk band. We've been called pop punk. We've been called straight punk. We've been called emotive hardcore.
Emotive hardcore.
All right.
So I don't know.
I just say that to one of the conversations I recently had with somebody from that old band that I referenced is like I obviously love, I don't know if it's obvious, but I love listening to harder music, anything that is quote hardcore adjacent. But there was always an issue with playing it, especially when we were like establishing ourselves as a band, because like we'd show up to these festivals or these battle of the bands or these, we'd be a part of a lineup where like we didn't really fit the ticket. And so it's like, you know, softer or more just like classic rock type bands. And then all of a sudden there's these kids who are screaming and they're just the audience, like it's not palatable to a general audience. Exactly. So I didn't know if like you were still in the throes of experiencing that, like that come up, or if you feel like you've established yourself as an item.
Like, I think that we're kind of smack dab in the middle. Yeah. Between like the soft singy and the hardcore scene.
Sure.
We're definitely more friends with people in the hardcore scene.
Yeah.
But we can fit it, I think.
Also, like, you guys are amazing performers. So I think people also want to play shows with them. Like, one, their music is really good, but also they're just a blast and they're really good on stage. And so I know that people come out, I mean, not only just because they're friends with us, but every single time someone new sees your show, they're like, oh my God, that was so much fun. You're so good. And then they keep coming to your shows. Because, I mean, it's not every day that you get to see the vocalist break his nose in front of everybody. So
go on. Huh? Elaborate.
Sorry, put you on the spot there.
I don't know. So you perform. Whilst performing, do you kind of just like lose your sense of yourself, sort of?
Yes. Especially behind the drum set.
Yeah, just kind of takes you over. Well, behind the drum set, you're hitting things. I can't hit anything except for like walls and myself. True. And for the want to not seem like a Kyle, I ruined microphones.
I see.
Yeah, that was.
Do you incorporate the Steve Austin, like bashing the cans or maybe bashing in your head?
I should, but that would be alcohol abuse.
Shower beers or beer.
Oh yeah,
shower beers.
I was in a band called Broke.
Okay.
And during one of our first shows, somebody decided to pour an entire pitcher of beer onto me, like during our set, and I just kind of sprayed the crowd with my wetness, and then it became a thing. So
sprayed the crowd with my wetness.
Beer showers became a thing during Broke.
So not shower beer shower.
Beer shower. Yeah, that's totally on me.
Yeah.
I see.
We were a notorious party band too, so like
I see.
Every show we played, it was like something gets broken or we get asked not to play there anymore because we broke the TV with our wetness or whatever.
Okay. Are you familiar with the band The Acacia Strain?
I
am. So it's a little bit harder than what I'm typically listening to. Like you said, I'm more I would qualify myself as a pop punk / alternative punk type of guy, but I can get down to all of it. I went and saw, it was Icy Stars, Like Moths to Flames, and the Acacia Strain at the Crowfoot in Pontiac. And this is the first time I had ever heard of the Acacia Strain, and I didn't know that their whole thing was, soaking the crowd. So before they get on stage, all of the like security and their like whoever's helping them out there, they're covering the entire stage and all the sound equipment in garbage bags. And so we're like, what is happening here? And then
our show, what's happening?
yeah, is this a thing? Okay. I didn't know this was a typical thing, but yeah, then at a certain point, whatever alcohol or liquids got consumed, half of them went into their stomach and half of them went into the crowd because they were either pouring them on their head and then flipping around, or they were just straight up spitting it out into everybody. So not, this was pre-COVID as well. So the spitting liquid, I wasn't so much freaked out.
I will say I never spit on anyone.
Please keep it that way. I feel like not only will you be kicked out of other scenes, but you'll lose some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when we first started dating, well, maybe not like at the very beginning, but the first show I ever went to for him and his band, it was a basement show for one of his friends' birthdays. And I walked downstairs and I didn't know about people pouring beer on him at this point. And so when we were in the basement, they had lined the whole floor with like plastic
that
wrap?
Sticky plastic that they put on in houses? Like
yes, yeah.
This guy covered his entire basement in it.
Yeah.
All right.
Just because of our band.
Yeah. And so one of our friends came, one of his really, really good friends, and she like handed me this beer and she's like, oh, you have to pour this on Scavo. I'm like, what do you mean I have to pour this on Scavo? It's like, oh, that's what you do during their shows. I'm like, I'm in somebody's house. I don't want to pour a beer on him in someone's house. And they're like, no, that's what the plastic is for. I was like, oh my God.
It all clicks. So did you two meet through the music scene then?
Surprisingly, no.
To whatever degree you'd like to elaborate on how you two met, obviously feel free.
Oh, it's his favorite story. It's his favorite story of all time because he just loves giving me crap about it.
Okay.
Okay.
So we met on the internet.
We did.
All right.
Through apps. Any dating app you can think of, we met on it.
Sure. Oh, okay.
Okay, so I...
ChristianMingle.com?
Oh, that's the number one.
Farmers Meet?
Only? Yeah.
Farmers Only, that's what it was.
Yeah. So like I can't like use all the dating apps at once, and like when I meet somebody I like to like focus on that person. I like can't handle talking to tons of people at once, and so I get very overwhelmed. And so whenever I am like using an app, like maybe I'll like stop using it for a minute and like try another app. And so like I had accounts on all of these apps, but I couldn't like focus on all of them. And so I would like swipe on him and then he would match with me after I was done using that app. And so that happened through every single app. And then we finally like connected on Tinder of all apps. And so
that one doesn't, from the personal experience of being on said dating apps, those conversations don't expire. If he doesn't respond to you in 24 hours after you've matched him on Bumble or something, you might never meet.
Yeah.
That window may have passed. So the fact that you diversified your investments, so to speak, probably is what ultimately got you two together.
Yeah. So it's funny to be like, oh, how'd you meet? Oh, on Tinder. But when in reality, we matched on every single app.
We matched first on Facebook dating.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
That's a wild.
I didn't even know Facebook dating was a thing.
Yeah, like
it's a strange place.
I hated it, honestly, because I mean, one good thing about Facebook dating is that it shows you like mutual friends that you have with that person. So like on my side of it, cool. Like I know that you exist and I could potentially reach out to that person and be like, hey, what do you think of this person? So that you're not meeting like a complete stranger. But on the opposite end of that, people have then access to finding you. And I would have people like go to like that guy's page or that girl's page and then like find me in their friends list. And then like I have my Facebook pretty private because like people are really creepy, and they would go through and like every single public post I have and like comment and send me messages, and I have to block them. So
flawed system.
It is a flawed system.
I'm glad that you actually referenced that you block them, though. And I'm sorry that this is where the conversation is going at the start of this podcast. But in particular, I was just talking to somebody yesterday about how they matched with somebody on a dating app, and then they like became friends on social media, and then they realized like it wasn't clicking. But then this person kept messaging them, essentially saying like, hey, when are we gonna get together? A few days go by, and then like, hey, am I cooking for you? Why don't you come over and I'll make you some breakfast? And then like 2 weeks later, it's like, so are you saying there's a chance? But my thing is like, I don't know if this is just women in general or what like you got to get more comfortable clicking that block button Because like the longer that conversation just exists in the ether, the more that this person is thinking like, I don't know, that there is some sort of chance. Just block, or just officially say not interested by, rather than just leaving it floating.
It's probably easier for guys, and I'm sure like this is not like a stereotype. I'm sure guys experience this too. But like guys saying like this isn't working, I don't want to like move forward with this, probably works a lot easier for girls, because I was extremely honest with a lot of people, and like I would just say, hey, I'm not interested, or unless they like did something that warranted me just like blocking them and like not saying anything.
Sure.
But like even if you say, hey, I'm not interested, like people would still harass you. And so, and then, but like I would just block people if that was the case.
Yeah, guys suck.
I was just gonna say, there's the general philosophy that dudes are the worst and can't take a hint. So like,
but
I mean, not to generalize, but
too. It's not just girls.
It does.
It does happen to guys. It just sucks when people don't respect boundaries in general.
So you two meet through the dating apps, but at this particular event where there's plastic on the floors and you have to dump beers on his head, to what degree do you know him, or is he just some dude you've matched with?
Oh no, we're dating at this point.
Yeah, so we met during COVID, so there wasn't many shows happening.
Oh.
So the first show back we had been dating for a few months by then.
Yeah.
So did you meet in like the throes of it, or did the dating like get more serious in the middle of it?
We met at the end of 2020.
Like right when things were opening back up.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had been, not to, we'll try to maybe avoid some of the other job conversations. We won't reference the particular name of the company that you work for on the side unless it becomes relevant to the conversation. But were you working, were you doing any sort of freelance business on your own at this point before you two had, because obviously we'll get into the conversation about you two going into business together, but where had you kind of been independently in your jobs?
So I worked for a smaller a smaller craft company. We focused purely on craft kits. And so later on, the company I worked for was sold to the big game toy craft company that I work for now. But I had wanted to start my own small business. And before I met him, like I still was working my 9 to 5. But I had been doing tons of research on the types of products I wanted to make. I had an idea of the types of things that I wanted to make and kind of the branding. So we met, and it was kind of probably, I don't know, it was like the very beginnings of me being ready to like move forward with it. I had done a lot of stuff on my own, but I was kind of getting closer to all right, I'm ready to launch this. Like I need to start making a website. Let's start really focusing on the types of stuff we wanted to make. But KatAndCrew did not exist, only in the fact that I had the name and I knew I wanted to make and sell things, and I had some products that I wanted to make.
Wait, you're saying KatAndCrew was a thing before Andrew hopped in?
Yeah.
Because in my mind, and maybe this was never part of it, but KatAndCrew sort of looks like Cat Andrew.
Which he loves. He came up with that too. And I never noticed that before, but it worked out. It just worked out.
I thought that was it.
No.
So, all right, interesting.
So KatAndCrew started out as, I wanted to find a way to like bring artists and creatives together so that there would be like the main company, which was me, but then maybe I would have like these events and I would bring other artists, or maybe I would feature them on my website or something. I didn't have it like completely figured out yet, but it was Cat, me, and crew. So and crew could mean all of these other artists that I brought in, and like we did stuff together and did collaborations and events and things like that. But I felt like I was biting off a little bit more than I could chew. And, as a creative, like I've been in the creative world for 11 years professionally, but I've loved art and to paint and draw and do all that stuff pretty much my entire life. And I make everything for somebody else. That's what my job is, like my 9 to 5 job. I'm constantly creating for everybody but me. And so I needed some sort of outlet where I could start creating for myself again. And I love sharing with other people. And so the thought of being able to create the things that I wanted to make that not only I would love, but that would resonate with other people was something that I needed in my life. And
Sure.
so that's kind of how Cat and Crew came to be. It was like all these little pieces in my life were kind of happening. And it was like, oh, like I could really do this, or oh, this would be a really good idea for that. And it just started building and building until it was, this is like, this could really happen. This could really be
Sure.
successful. And so as that was kind of like turning into something is when we met, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I want to do this with you."
Let's do it.
Yeah.
But before you kind of get involved in that process, like obviously you've been involved in music, Andrew, but and to some degree, obviously I know Katy a little bit, but not nobody knows each. Like we haven't been friends for years and years, so I know her about as well as I know you in general. Is kind of what I mean. What was your kind of stuff before that? Were you doing a 9 to 5 thing? Had you been interested in like digital art spaces or selling products or anything like that? Or was this all new to you?
I've always been super interested in it. Before we started Cat and Crew, I had dabbled in design. I worked as a graphic designer for a phone case company where basically I changed monograms on pre-made designs.
I see.
The title,
so that's where the air quotes came from.
Yeah, the title graphic designer was complete bullshit. But
sure.
So I had used the programs before, but nothing crazy by any means. And I was working 80 hours a week for a factory at the time. So I didn't have much time to devote to it. So like it was nice that when we hung out, I could do that as well.
Sure. But knowing that you like existed in the factory space helps supply some type of context, because like it does take a, I don't know the best way to say it. It's not something that I could do is more what I mean. So like knowing that, not that you were necessarily committed to the grind, but you were grinding just in a different way.
Oh yeah.
The factory, I mean, I grew up north and you had essentially a couple of outcomes. You could either work at a gas station, work at a restaurant, work at a factory, or move out of town. You have no other options besides that. So like, where did you guys grow up? Was it a small town? Were you big city folk?
So we live in the Metro Detroit area. We grew up.
Okay.
Like it's populated. There's a lot of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
The way I got sucked into the factory world is I was managing a Jimmy John's and they didn't want to pay me what I deserved or what I thought I deserved. So a friend of mine was like, well, we're hiring at my factory job. And then I just kind of like moved my way up to the ranks to be a line manager there. And then when I left there, it was because they also didn't want to pay me what I thought I deserved. So
sure.
I got out.
How do you guys, and obviously this supplies itself to be or allows itself to be kind of a transition to the more small business side of things. But like, do you have specific moments in your life that you can remember of like I'm fucking done with this moment? Like the working for other people in something you're not passionate about in any regard? Like, is there a moment or did it generally phase out for you guys?
It's a little tough. So I have always been really passionate about art, and that has been probably one of the biggest things in my life. So I love it. I love doing it. I love my job when it's good. But when you work for corporate America, there are some good things that happen. And so like when you have really tough days or you're in a job where you're just not appreciated, or that you're being taken advantage of, like that sucks. I've never been like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like I'm always going to want to create. I always want to do something creative in my life. That's what I meant to do. And I know that for a fact. But it is hard doing stuff for other people. I don't feel like I find as much joy in it as I do when I'm making something that I'm truly passionate about. Because like when you're working for a big agency, you're just pumping out designs for other people. And like sometimes you get some really cool projects. Like I've done a lot of stuff in my life that I'm really proud of and that was really cool to work on. But I think when it's something for yourself, it's more of a passion project. And then being able to share that with other people who feel the same is just a little bit more gratifying.
Now, like, was there a hard ending for your factory work, Andrew, or what did that time get filled with? Like, what are you doing now aside from,
well,
I guess, yeah, take it.
When I quit the factory, I started being an independent contractor. I was installing cabinets for a while.
Okay.
And the guy I was working for just kind of wasn't great. So I found another job, and now I'm the project manager for a food equipment supplier for restaurants and such. So
does that fit any sort of like validation pocket? Like, is it adjacent to like, you like just kind of the manual labor type of work, or is it just the job that came across at the right time and it just so happened to work out for you?
That one. It just kind of
the latter.
Yeah, I've always been all right, I gotta, like, I don't like doing this work, but I'm gonna be the best at it, so I can either make more money or learn or whatever. But so now this company I'm working for now, straight 40 hours. I do a lot of traveling, so I don't have to really. I have more time to focus on our business, right?
Sure.
While we're getting it off the ground and such. Like, obviously the dream is to quit our jobs and continue the business, but while it is still just an after work grind for us, it's nice.
So I guess that's a good opportunity then to talk a little bit what about KatAndCrew even is, because, well, I mean, for the sake of it, we have to introduce what the business is in the first place.
Yeah.
But also, I wonder what your like actual articulation is of it, because it can be observed through like a consumer's eyes. But like, what is KatAndCrew if you were to describe it?
We're a small business that hand makes home decor, jewelry, accessories, clothing soon. I don't know, it's hard to put it into a box because we're still figuring it out ourselves.
Sure.
But you know, when you have a certain style and things that you like the world is so saturated with stuff all the time. And it's hard for us to find things that we're looking for, like that we both like, that are in our style. It's very niche. But we thought, hey, like if we can't find it, you know, let's make it. Let's see if we can make something. And it is also about that connection, because like we're just real people and you know, making cool stuff. I don't know. I feel like
I will say
lame response.
I'll reference it on video. This is not a punk house. It's a punk home banner.
Yeah.
Was sent by KatAndCrew. This skull planter was sent by KatAndCrew that I now have a dragon fruit cactus in there. Like, he's got some spiky hair. I'm just pulling out other things that you guys sent in the package. These have become one of my favorite things.
They're so
the
cute.
little tea candle. What are these actual candles?
Tea lights.
Tea light candles. But they're snake holders. And I can't claim this as like something you're marketing on the website, but then got a little custom creation.
Yeah.
Ask me about my correct. You are not selling these on the website.
Nope, that was just for you.
Okay, but we got the KatAndCrew logo a little bit.
Yep.
So how intimidating is it for you guys to make that like initial investment into like physical products? Was it just like the money is there, let's do it? Or was it like, we are going to, you know, go this loan or credit card approach? Has it always been like what we have, that's what we spend? Or is there like risks you take involved with that?
A little bit of both. So when I decided that I really wanted to do KatAndCrew, it was a lot easier for me. Like, it's a slow and steady thing. And one of the things I learned within my career is trying to figure out ways to make things special. Like, I wasn't like going online and say, let's see what's trendy. Okay, I'm going to make this too. I don't want to do that. I want to say, okay, what are the types of things that I would like that I'm not finding? And how can I make those special? Or if I get something that's similar to what's already out there, what can I do to it to make it different so that it's not like everything that you see out there. And so there was a lot of research and development in the beginning. I was very, very slow and meticulous about my process. I was not in a rush because I would rather take my time than rush it so that when it was launched, that it was done correctly. And so it's easy when you're taking your time and trying things out, lots and lots and lots of trial and error. So I would order something, I would try it out. I say, okay, this works. This is awesome. And then I would see something else I liked, be like, okay, how could I fit that in? Let's order it. Let me try it out. And so it wasn't like a huge investment up front. And then obviously, equipment costs a lot of money. So trying to find ways to get it at a discounted rate. So, like, I have a Cricut machine. That was something that I really needed and I really wanted, but I was not going to pay full price for it. And so I was watching like Facebook Marketplace like a hawk. And it was something I would do every single day because it was worth
adjacent to Facebook dating, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually
the market
Facebook Marketplace.
Oh yeah,
the marketplace of love.
I was selling the Cricut, you know.
Yeah. Wow, you were that middle-aged lady?
Yep.
Whoa.
You camouflage.
Man, this is really truly a
chameleon
dive. But yeah, so then I got that, and that was a huge game changer. So then I was able to do a lot more, and then I just kept researching until I felt comfortable with the things that we had. And I was very, very fortunate that I have a good job, so I was able to put money towards this business. But it was also like it's not like I'm saving a lot, so it's still, I wouldn't say a risk, but I was putting my time and my money towards this business.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Andrew and I met and he started doing this with me, we started talking about like what we both wanted for the business and the type of investments we were both willing to make. So we would always be very smart about the investments that we did. We started off small because obviously you don't want to bite off too much. And so we saw the return on that. And so then, okay, we have a little bit of money. Let's put it towards this. And then all last year, all of the purchases and investments we made were almost 100% through profit from the business. So, yeah.
So last year was a lot of it was investing from our part, but no like huge credit card, like going into debt purchases or anything. It all came out of like money we've made, savings that we had.
Sure.
And then last year, 2022 was a profitable year, I would say, saying as everything we sold with the profits from that, we could buy more material to make new things. We didn't have to put any of our own money into it.
Yeah.
So is that kind of what you're treating the income from KatAndCrew for, is reinvesting it right back into KatAndCrew?
Yeah, we don't pay ourselves. We reinvest back into the business.
Good.
We've taken ourselves out to dinner as like a congratulations. We survived this 3-day event in the 90-degree Michigan weather, but besides that, we don't take a paycheck. Yeah. Hopefully this year we could just like make enough money to pay for our wedding in 2024.
Hey, there you go.
Yep.
And one of the things that intimidates me as a quote unquote small business person is that I find that every time I feel like I'm right in front of where my goal is, where I'm like, oh, I am so close to doing the thing I want to do. The thing I want to do changes. Or like the goal moves entirely. So like when you initially started, I know that you said that you wanted to, make things that were different, but like, were they for you? Or like, were you initially trying to just make some things that like you wanted at your house, and then you were like, oh, people might want to buy this? Or was it always an avenue of like, these are things I can sell, and that's why I'm doing it?
A little bit of both.
Yeah,
I'd say.
A little bit of both.
Like, let's take that skull planter behind you, for example.
Yes.
I wasn't able to I wanted something like that so bad, and I was not able to find it anywhere. So we had the conversation, and I did a lot of research about mold making, and we bought like some skulls or whatever, and then I molded clay around them to make it look exactly how I wanted it. And then I made a mold. I went to like a specialty mold shop to get this mold making stuff, which wasn't that expensive as expensive as I thought it was going to be. And
sure.
And then
it's all relative.
Yeah. Then we made the mold for it. That's the first mold I ever made. It ended up working.
Yeah.
Pretty dope. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So, and then that's one of our best selling items because people are like, wow, you can't find anything like this anywhere. That's not like a cheap plastic or like it's made of concrete. It's a sturdy product and it's nice for plants because
they survive in it.
absorbs a little bit of the water. It doesn't let it sit, stuff like that.
Yeah. And
so this is maybe well, go ahead.
Oh, okay. And then like we have these Monstera plant leaf coasters.
Yes.
We had gotten those and I was making them for a friend for her birthday. She loves plants. And I said, oh, it'd be so cool. She has a new apartment. Let me make her some coasters. And then when we made them, we're just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. We should sell these. Or I love banners. I love banners and I love totes, but I couldn't find banners that looked like what I would put in my house. I mean, there's really cool stuff, but things out there are also really, really expensive. And so we also wanted to make things that were quality, that were affordable. So it was more attainable for people as well. And so like, I really wanted a tote with a scorpion on it and I couldn't find that anywhere. So I made a tote with a scorpion on it. And I think it looks really cool. And a lot of people love that tote. So it's just kind of like a mesh of that.
So this is maybe a chicken and the egg situation, but what came first? Was it like the online retailing or these vendor events? And if so, like, how did you make the jump for the first one?
So when we were getting everything finalized with like our first batch of products that we were going to launch, I built a website, but it wasn't live yet. And one of our really good friends works for would you like the company that owns the Red Wings? Yeah. Okay. So, and she does a lot of Detroit stuff with like their website. I feel like I'm not saying this correctly. She has like a really cool job. And so she puts on a ton of events in Detroit all the time. And there was this event called the Detroit Art Walk series. And it was the first time that they were doing it, the first year. And she said that if we submitted as a vendor that we could get in and that could be our first vendor event. So at that point we weren't searching for vendor events. It was a good friend of ours offered us this opportunity. And so we submitted for it and they accepted, which is crazy. Like we had
launched.
Yeah, we had launched in
4 months before
June and this event was October 1st, right? It was the first day of October. And so we're like, oh my gosh, okay. And we did a soft launch of our business without the website so that we could see how local friends and family responded to it. And we would just do like pickups and drop-offs and things like that. And then I built the e-commerce website. And so we launched that and we got some orders, which is really cool. And then we had this first vendor event. And so it was like completely out of our realm. Like neither of us had ever done a vendor event before. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, this is our first vendor event. I want it to look as cool as possible, but we don't have a ton of money because we're brand new. So I went to TJ Maxx to the clearance section and I bought every single thing I could that looked cool that could be used in this booth. And then I told him kind of like a vision for a display. And, you know, because of his skills that he has, he built part of our booth, like some of our display.
Hell yeah.
He hand built himself. And we set up at this vendor event. And it was really awesome too, because they supplied the table and the tent and the chairs. So it wasn't like we had to do that up front for something that we were doing for the first time. And at that event, for all the vendors that were there, they built out little bios on the website for this event. And so that people could go and look at who would be there and the types of products that were there. And they like linked our website and stuff like that. And so that was just kind of like an out-of-body experience to experience that for the first time. And we had this one girl come up to us and had no idea who she was. Brand new business. We had just barely been open. And she said that she came there specifically for our booth. And she bought a ton of stuff from us. Yeah. And that was just that was like such a cool moment. And I just felt very grateful for that. And we did way better than we thought we were going to. because we didn't know what to expect. And, you know, you're the first time business and this is your first time doing something like this. So you don't put very high expectations on it. You just want to sell, like, let me sell one thing and that would be so amazing. And we sold a lot, and we have like a really good group of friends. And so many people showed up for us. And then because we did that event, we were able to take a picture of our booth, which let us apply for other vendor events, because you have to supply like booth pictures and things like that.
I see.
Yeah. So that was kind of like a huge door that opened for us. And then we started getting more events after that. And so that event was mainly our friends coming out and supporting us. We did have a lot of people that we didn't know come out, but it was mainly our friends and family. And then the next event that we did, we didn't know anybody, and we sold twice as much stuff at the next event to complete strangers. Like we like sold out.
Super validating.
Yeah, it was wild. I like still can't believe it to this day, like how crazy it is. Like people show up and like you would never expect that. And so that's something that I wouldn't say struggle with at the moment. It's just like, how much do we make? Because every vendor event has been different. Like we would sell out of banners at one and then sell one banner at the next, but we would sell out on all of our jewelry or sell out on our totes or something like that. So it's just been this huge like back and forth wave, and we're like, all right, what products can we maybe stop making so we can bring new stuff in? But everything does really well. And so it's just kind of like learning that back and forth.
Now, general question. I know that this is more relevant to the art itself, but as artists, and maybe this doesn't have to necessarily apply to Kat and Crew, it can just relate to Katy and Andrew, but I have to imagine you are familiar with the term or feeling of imposter syndrome. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if you can maybe talk about how it's relevant to Kat and Crew, but if it's not, maybe expand on it in your own personal lives. But my pointed question is like, when it comes to these vendor events or the digital sales, does that feeling creep in at any point, or is it just something that happens in the background? Because I will just say from my own personal experience, and this is all projection, and anybody who's listened to the podcast is very intimately familiar with this side of my personality, but I always feel like a fraud. No matter what I'm doing, like a lot of my stuff is put out publicly. It's whether it's the podcast or my short films, or even if I'm a wedding cinematographer, I feel like everyone can see through me. Everyone actually knows that I'm not good at this. I'm just faking it. When you sell physical art, that sort of, I have to imagine there's some sort of imposter syndrome in there. At least it would be from my point of view. Do you guys, let me just point it at you. Do you guys identify with that in any way, with Kat and Crew in specific?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I would say yes. Do you want to? I'll let you talk a little bit and then I'll go. I feel like so much. I can talk about this all day.
No, you're good.
There's, I guess, imposter syndrome when there's a line at our booth or whatever. We're like, holy shit, man. Like, why are all these people buying our stuff? You know, very grateful they're buying our stuff, but like,
sure.
Then you kind of step back, right? And you're like, okay, well, we've done lots of research. We make sure our product is good. Like, I don't know, you go to some art fairs and you walk by someone's booth, and I'm not trying to talk crap on anyone. Everyone's doing what they're doing, right?
No, please go ahead.
But you walk by and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It probably makes me sound like a dick, but
yeah.
No.
And I'm sorry, I'm cursing a lot. Is that okay?
No, please. The more the merrier. Right. Let him fucking deal with it. Right.
I have a potty mouth and I can't.
You listen, the audience that is listening from my side is familiar with it. When it comes to Kat and Crew stuff, you guys can approach it however you'd like. There has been cursing in it, so if you guys are fine with it is the more important thing.
I think I deal with imposter syndrome more in my personal life than in Kat and Crew, because I can like step back with Kat and Crew and be like, okay, well, we do make a quality product, at least by our standards, right?
Sure.
In like everyday life, like at my 9 to 5, I'm like, what am I doing selling thousands and thousands of dollars of kitchen equipment to this person, you know?
Sure.
Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But
now, if you're like representing your own art, like because I ask it in this way, some people, my friend Nick in particular, someone that I've actually talked to about it specifically, or maybe it was my friend Alex, like if he's doing a photo session for a client, he's a photographer, he's more nervous in front of the client than he is if he's doing his own like creative shoot that he wants to promote for himself. Mm-hmm. Whereas I'm the flip side, where it's like, if somebody's paying me to do it, I sort of get it. Like, okay, I must be decent enough at the thing they're paying me for because they're giving me money. But when I go to put out my own art, there's this voice in my head that like, nobody wants to hear this. Nobody wants to hear me talk about this or expand upon this. I'm not really that good. Why should I put it out in the first place? Does that resonate with you in any way?
So
like a new product or a new,
yeah,
you know?
I guess with me, it's a little bit different. Just because like I have been in the creative field for so long, that like, yeah, when I was first starting out, all those feelings were constantly weighing on me. Like, especially when I started doing like graphic design for the first time, like my first graphic design job, I'm like, am I really like designing this thing for Bentley? And then Bentley really likes it. Like, how crazy is that? And so you go through that a lot. And then, but as you go through it and you have success in that, you kind of talk to yourself a little bit differently. And you're like, no, like I know that I know what I'm doing. And that like voice in my head that is making me doubt myself is just fear of failure. And so
Sure.
it's not that I don't have the ability or the capability to do it. I'm just trying to cushion a fall that could happen. And I always think that I'd rather try and fail than not try to do this thing at all, because that's a bigger failure to me in my eyes. And so when I'm working with KatAndCrew, there's a lot of creativity that goes into it, but there's a lot of technical stuff that I just know because I do it for a living and I've done it for like 11 to 12 years now. And so I know a lot of the technical aspects of it, and I know like how to handle trends and do things like that. But it is also scary to sit down and draw something and put it on something and really hope that people want to buy it
or get it
get it. And you know,
right.
like the sad boys club, sad girls club stuff, people just don't understand that at all. But the people who do like love it so much, and that's the people that we're marketing to. And it's not even that we're marketing to them, it's that like that's us too. Mm-hmm. Like we love it. Sure. Like we'll rep it, we want to wear it, things like that. And, you know, sometimes I'll put a design out, and if people don't like it, I don't take that personally because I like it, but that just means, okay, it's not resonating with people. So let's try something new. And I'm not going to put my energy towards that anymore. But I mean, we do get really good feedback, and, you know, if someone doesn't understand something, then it's not for them. That's not who we're marketing to.
Funny story.
Okay.
We had a vendor event. We were standing at our booth, and this lady walks by our booth.
You already know what he's referencing? Okay.
Stops.
Okay.
Looks at the Punk House banner, right? And she just goes, no, and keeps walking.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we both look at each other, and you can't help but laugh at that kind of situation.
Well, no, because that's just a clear display of narcissism and being a sociopath.
But it's also like, awesome, we made it right. Like this is what we wanted.
Yes.
We want all of you people to hate this.
It's for everyone, but it's not for everyone. You know?
Yeah. Like everybody is welcome. Like we've had all different types of people buy stuff from our booth, and like obviously people who buy like the Punk House banner or our Sad Boys Club stuff are like into certain types of things. But then we also have like the nice little moms that are like, oh, these are such cute little Monstera coasters. Like it doesn't have to be.
Well, I think one of the things that I've appreciated about your website and your art is that it's less about creative exclusivity and more about creative inclusivity. That like you're not making banners that say this is not a punk house, it's a punk home. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself. You've made art that's essentially like, no, we want things that we know individuals who do not feel particularly represented in this creative space can buy and put in their home. And it does range from plant lovers to punk folks or witchy people.
Which we are all of the above.
Exactly, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not, you know, you're not excluding any particular type of art or artist or fashionista. You know, you're including those who you want to feel included in.
And so like, and when we talked about earlier how KatAndCrew started and like the and crew part of it, so obviously I had the name KatAndCrew before I met Andrew, and so a lot of people think that it's my business, and we do this together. But the crew part of it is kind of all the people who support us. Like we want KatAndCrew, like the crew, to be the community. So that's why whenever you buy something, you get something that says "Welcome to the crew. We're so happy you're here." Because we're not just making stuff. We're building a community, and like we want it to feel like we're all friends and family, and that's very important to us.
Do you currently feature any artists' work on your website, or is it just stuff that you two have made and custom created specifically? Like, do you imagine yourself being a distributor of other works?
So currently everything on our website is just our stuff. My mom loves to make jewelry, and so at one of our vendor events I did have like a little display for her stuff as like a featured artist, and I'm definitely open to doing more stuff like that.
We've done more collaborations, I guess.
We have done collaborations, yeah.
Like where we'd send product to friends of ours and they would do their thing on them. So, and then they do like drops or something like that, where there'd be profit or whatever. And, then we advertise that on our social medias, not necessarily on our website.
Yeah.
But it's a growing thing. It's not off the table for us to do something like that, but.
And eventually, if we can get KatAndCrew moving a little bit and obviously getting the equipment that we want to get, eventually we want to offer those types of services to other people. So like we can make our own KatAndCrew shirts or whatever, but then if somebody needs shirts made, that we could also make shirts for them, not necessarily posting about it, but just having like sector of the business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's sort of what I meant. Like, so let's imagine, you know, a band pops up and they don't know what they want for merch, but they've hired KatAndCrew separately to do the graphic design and the pressing and all that stuff. Is that something that you are interested in, or are you more just focused on we print our own work, we print our own art, and then we can collaborate if that's, you know?
We've definitely had conversations about it. Like, for instance, we're searching for an embroidery machine right now. And once we get embroidery machine and learn to use it and start putting out our own product, then we can open it up to like, hey, band, do you need beanies made? Do you want embroidered shirts made? And then we can expand on the business that way.
Sure. But that's in the cards, kind of, is like, that's part of the business strategy. Okay.
Yeah. And like thinking way down the line, like future of KatAndCrew, what our goals are. We would love to have a brick and mortar that's like a bar and venue space. So like KatAndCrew, we would have all of our merch and that would be part of the business, but then we could have shows and like support the music community and things like that. Basically, we just want to like put all of our passions together
under a roof
and make a living out of it.
So on that note, and maybe this is, I don't know to what degree it's too personal, but money is sometimes a rough subject to talk about. But one of the things that I talk to other creatives and small business people about is that fear between the link between your art and your income, in that, like, if I'm not making art, I'm not getting income. If I'm not making income, then I can't make my art. Does that ever run? Do you guys ever run into that, or what? Did you feel like you were off to a solid enough start with an initial investment that you've been able to just kind of flip through it?
Again, a little bit of both. It's kind of just starting out with what you can do and just understanding that you have to take your time. You can't just put all your money into something. Like you have to make very smart steps about what you're doing. So maybe instead of getting like the most expensive materials, you start out smaller and you get more affordable materials and you sell your stuff at a lower cost. And then as you progress, if you have success, then you can upgrade and upgrade and upgrade and just have that fluid movement. But sometimes like we have had to invest, but like we have a lot of ideas right now that we want to make, but financially we're not ready to make those yet.
Yeah.
Like,
it's been like okay, maybe we'll start this next month once we have the means to do it.
yeah.
Just right now it doesn't make sense for us to put that much money into it.
Sure.
So because equipment's expensive, like we want to buy a laser like to start doing like laser work, and we want our embroidery machine, and we want to get a screen printing press, and but that's huge. So we're starting out like, let's pay to have like this small run done, see how it does, and then start progressing that way, because you can only do what you can do. And there's so many different ways that you can start out. It might not be exactly what you want and the quality that you want, but I think that producing a lesser quality product, like not lesser quality, it's still like maybe not getting the most expensive paper, but like if you're putting your art on something and people are buying it, that's success.
Well, for my specific example, what I talked to you guys about the other day was that, like, I've always wanted to see my art on a canvas, but then I go to look into what type of initial investment that's going to take. It's like, holy shit, I'm paying $60 for a blank canvas to put my art on. And so, you have these ideas that you're like, I would love to see this, but it's more about managing expectations and then evolving them from there, and being comfortable with the idea that it might take a while.
Yeah, and getting very comfortable in the fact that things won't work. So we have done quite a few things that I was so excited about, and we just couldn't get it to work because we just don't have the right materials or the right equipment for it. And that it would upset me, but it's just because I want it to happen so bad. And I was really excited about it. So it's also like kind of not taking those as like a defeat. It's just this is a step towards like what we want to do. And
we're also slightly spatially challenged here in
this is true.
tiny 1,000-foot square house.
Yeah.
We're in the second bedroom of our house. So.
Yeah. I literally yesterday, so the way that our apartment is lined up, there's like a loft. So my roommate lives essentially in the loft, but then there's a living room and 2 bedrooms down here. The living room kind of just became this general, like, whatever goes out there, that's what goes out there. Neither of us really exist in there. But these bedrooms down here, one of them was my bedroom, one of them was my office. But I found myself like not wanting to go into work that day, which literally just meant I just don't go into the other room. So I have now forced myself, my desk is right there, my bed is right here, that like there's no excuse. All the things that I need to do for work and client outreach is right next to me, So it's like sort of forcing myself to exist in my own creative space. But I think the issue also comes with like this creative space feels so intimidating because I have it. I have to do something with it. That sometimes I resent that the fact that my art is my income in that same regard. So like I have combined this as part of my home, and now I have to do it. I don't know.
We've been very fortunate where we have jobs like 9-to-5 jobs, and KatAndCrew has been like a side thing. But it also sucks because some days you're just like, I really want to focus on this KatAndCrew stuff, but I have to work all day, or I haven't gotten to do what I wanted to do because I'm just so burnt out from my 9-to-5. We've been struggling with that a little bit getting into this year. We were hoping to be a little bit farther along than we are, but kind of just accepting that because there's no rush. It's all on our time. Like, this is our business. We can go at the pace that we want to. But it's also like we want this to be successful so that we can focus on this full time. So it's
Right.
just like finding that balance and then not being too hard on ourselves about where we're at, because like we have everything that we need. We just have to sit down and do it and take the time, but we also have to take care of ourselves, because having a full-time job and then having a business and then also balancing family and friends and like life obligations, it's a lot for us to handle sometimes.
We are very active.
Yeah.
It's like our calendar is full at all times, and we're like, oh, we have a week off here, and then we realize, no, we don't.
Yeah.
So it's a struggle sometimes to find time to create and do what we love, but I think that's what makes it so much more enjoyable when we do get to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
There's two relatable points to that. One being that I'm going to talk about this more on, I'm shooting a solo episode right after this as well. And one of the things that somebody wanted me to talk about was like, what are some of the unexpected struggles of being a freelancer or a self-employed person? And I think the biggest part that I'm sure you can resonate with is you get this idea in your head that like, finally, I'm my own boss. But then you realize that like, I never liked listening to my boss. And if I'm my own boss, I am too forgiving of myself and I don't demand enough of myself.
It's okay. You'll get to it tomorrow.
Exactly. So it's like the discipline of scheduling is the part that I'm struggling with the most, that like I could be investing my time doing this, but instead, because I didn't do that, now this next day, I didn't set myself up for success. So now I have to fill that day with DoorDash. You know, like I have to fill it in with that supplemental income because I didn't take the time to initially invest in myself. And then it starts this cycle of like bullying myself that like, well, I didn't put the time in because I realized in the moment that I wasn't good enough to put the time in. And because I'm not good enough, I'll always be this DoorDash person. Oh, wait, I don't want to be a DoorDash person. I want to invest the time in my business. Now I invest time in my business and I haven't been making money through DoorDash, so I have no money. Like it just
It's circle.
It's never ending.
And it's horrendous sometimes. Yeah. I hate to be that guy. I'm gonna take a quick TO.
Okay.
I'm like 2 cups of coffee and a Bellevue in. I gotta pee. So
okay, no problem.
Okay. For those watching the video version, there is not alcohol in this. Although it shouldn't matter. I'm a goddamn adult, right? I can do what I want.
You are an adult.
I'm just repping the koozies, the sad boys and sad girl clubs, available exclusively at KatAndCrew.com. Shut them off. Okay. We're going to rip the bandage off. We're going to get into the serious shit. Y'all ready?
All right. I'm rolling up my sleeves.
Let's do it.
Be as kind to yourselves and each other as you possibly can. What is it like being in business with your significant other? What are the pros? What are the cons? What are the unforeseen horrors?
All right. Okay.
Go for it.
So I cry every single day. It's the worst thing I've ever experienced.
I'm sure.
Kidding. It's actually amazing. We are, I don't know. We don't like argue.
Yeah, we don't argue. We don't fight. Like even in our personal lives, we have never had an argument.
No.
And I know that's very strange for couples, you know, especially couples that are in business together and live together.
Yeah.
We know how to communicate with each other, and we're very respectful of the other person, and the other person's feelings matter more to us than something that like wouldn't necessarily matter. But we're also very much alike in a lot of ways. And so like if I have an idea and I'll bring it to him, if he doesn't like something about it, it's not, well, we're doing this, or you don't like what I like. It's okay, so let's research different ideas, like what could we do to this? How could we make it better and something that we both enjoy, or vice versa? You know, we're in this together and we just want the product to be something that we love, like we both love. and it's just important to us. And I don't know, we're just a couple of goofballs. We're just having fun all the time.
Yeah, and it's also like we're both very invested into the business, right? So like, let's say we have an order that we really, really need to get out, and we have something that we need to make to get it out. And like, I'm sick or Katy's sick. Like the other person doesn't have any problem just like taking it over and making it happen. While this is a joint effort, it is very like, okay, this is just what needs to get done.
Mm-hmm.
So, are there any times in the business development that you have had to step on the other one's toes, whether it's a healthy line of communication or not, but like somebody brings something to the table and there is some sort of a disagreement in strategy?
Yeah. So something that just recently happened was I'm working on a new design for something, and he just did not like the text that I put with it at all. And so it wasn't like, well, I like this and this is how it's going to be. We sat down and we researched other ideas. And I was like, I'm not going to move forward with this design until we're both 100% okay with it and comfortable with it. And I haven't touched that design yet since, because we haven't really figured out exactly what we want it to be. And there's no reason to push it because I can focus on something else. And another thing that works really well between the two of us is that while we both love to be creative, we both have a certain set of skills that maybe the other person does not have. And so, like, I love to be creative and I love to draw. And all the artwork that you see is something that I've drawn. Now, Andrew doesn't draw any of the artwork. I mean, if you ever wanted to, I wouldn't be like, yeah. And so, but
it's good to be self-aware.
Yeah. But he's really good at building things. And obviously he's a project manager, so he's really good at a lot of admin stuff. And it doesn't mean that like we enjoy doing admin stuff, but he's able to help more with the things that I'm not good at. And like, I have a marketing degree, and so I can help more with the marketing side of it, while he helps more with the building and the admin side of it. And then I'm creative, but then he'll make sure that things like go well and are done properly and things like that.
Yeah,
too.
And we can bounce off of each other. Like, hey, what if you curve this line in a little bit harder, or what if you moved this eyeball up a little bit, or whatever.
Yeah. I think there's just like a lot of respect and love between the two of us that we just work very well together, because we don't want any conflict, and we genuinely care about the other person. So it's very easy for us to work together.
Do you think the idea of you guys being artists lends itself to that? Because I imagine it may be different for two people who decide they want to open up a supermarket or some sort of grocery store, that like you both understand the pain of invalidation through your art, so that like it's more important to lift each other up than, I mean, again, I'm just projecting here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just I know in myself, I recognize in myself, and this is the part of the podcast where I use my guests as my personal therapists, but I know in myself that when my ideas, especially something I'm particularly passionate about, is challenged in a way that might lead me to stop that idea entirely, I don't know. I just feel like I'm not, I don't know, being respected or appreciated, or that my art is just shit. I don't know. Like, if this particular example that you gave, where you came up with a design concept, Andrew didn't, or said he didn't really like the text, it's very easy for me to go, you think I'm shit? You think I'm bad? You think I don't know what I'm doing? I wouldn't put this text in here if I didn't know what I'm doing. Like, is that more of a personal growth thing, or is that a relationship growth thing?
I think it's both, to be honest. And the way that we approach each other is, it's from a place of respect, and it's not like, why would you put that on there? It's like, while that is good, I just don't think it is the best it could be.
Mm-hmm. And taking it with a grain of salt, because like I work in marketing, and so every single day I'm creating content that has nothing to do with KatAndCrew, that tons of people see and would have to connect with. So like, if someone doesn't like something, that's okay because you have all of these people you're marketing to. If one person doesn't like it and it doesn't resonate with them, that means it's not going to resonate with other people too. So it's how can we adjust this to have it resonate with more people instead of having it just solely directed at like a smaller group too. So I
Now,
appreciate criticism because it just helps make the product even better.
I have to devil's advocate though.
Okay.
Especially in the YouTube or public space, that sometimes there is an opinion that comes out that I feel like I would love to validate on an individual level, but when I look at the rest of my art, like, okay, let's say it's this 9 out of 10 pieces of art I make are phenomenal. 9 out of 10 people say that the art I make is phenomenal. One person says that art is shit. I'm not supposed to listen to that person, typically. Right. I can't help but listen to that person. So this is why I say, like, in this relationship, like, my instinct would to be like, we've made all these other great art things. You've liked all this other art I've made. Why don't you just trust that I know what I'm doing, huh? Mm-hmm. But that's also
can we stop? Can we time out just for a quick second?
Yeah,
I'm about to have like a coughing fit.
No, please go ahead.
This coughing fit is supported by KatAndCrew.com.
Okay, so your question was, if there is a negative comment, you shouldn't listen to the negativity because everyone has like.
And why are you listening to my opinion?
Well, yeah, I guess it is different. It is different.
That's where he was getting.
Yeah.
Why are you listening to this guy?
I don't know because I don't know.
I think what happened in that situation, and I know you haven't touched it since, but so after I was like, I just don't really like the wording. So let's sit down and see if we can find something else. We did. We probably sat on the couch for a good hour, both of us just like trying to figure out another way to say what we were trying to say. And I was like, that might be the best way to say it. So move forward with it. And if we can come up with something else, we will.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how that conversation ended because I couldn't think of anything better.
Sure.
In my dumb little brain.
Not dumb. But I mean, also, if you think about it, he is my business partner.
Yeah.
And so he has like everything that he does and says is with the best interest of the company at heart. Like he wants it to be successful. We both have a certain vision of how we want the company to be and how our products look and things like that. But some troll on the internet just being mean to you in the comment section, like they don't have your best interest at heart. They're just having opinions and know nothing about you. And when you work with someone and you're working towards a common goal, I think that that's more constructive criticism than someone just being ignorant or mean just to be mean. And like everyone's allowed to have their own opinions, and it's okay if you don't like something. And you can take that, but maybe instead of saying this is horrible, I don't like this. Like, what if you did this? And that's something that we talk about too. It's not just I don't like this. It's okay, this is not what I would like it to be. Let's find solutions. And I think finding solutions or recommendations and things like that and thinking the strategy behind it.
When we value each other's opinions a lot.
Yeah.
And again, maybe less about Kat and Crew, more about Katy and Andrew specifically. Are there times where you let that public negative feedback get to you individually? And like, if those examples do not exist, then so be it. But is there anything like musically or creatively outside of this small business world where you allowed the outside influence of someone's opinion that you didn't really respect to get to you?
We're both really good at leaving work at work.
Okay.
But there are days where things are really hard. And like I'll be in a really bad mood or really upset over something. But I don't ever take it out on him and vice versa. Like we would never take anything out on each other. I have really horrible anxiety, and this lovely gentleman has been blessed without really horrible anxiety.
I'm a Leo, so I basically kiss excellence.
Yeah. How do you do it, man? Teach me your ways.
No,
I actually want to, I want to pick up on that. Does the idea of anxiety, like, is it a foreign concept to you? Like what?
No, I totally get it. I just have less of it. I
Okay.
think, like, I do get anxious about things. Katie can speak to it. And when I do get anxious, I get anxious.
Okay.
And then he
It's-
sleepwalks.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
snap.
like, yeah. So like, if I'm real stressed, I'll start sleepwalking. But
Dang.
I just kind of, like I said earlier, I'm a problem solver. I like to hit things head on. So like, if I'm anxious about something, I fix it.
So is this more the difference between stress and anxiety, though? Like, it seems like you obviously know what you can resonate with stress. You have a very a history with stress, but like nervous for what has yet to come. Is that a thing that you deal with?
Different situations, sometimes, yeah. But then I'll like, I don't know. I just get through it. I push myself to get through it.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. It doesn't debilitate me.
So like, if there was a situation, my anxiety would have me freaking out over the worst possible scenario before anything even happens.
Yeah.
And he is like, nothing has happened yet. Like we're stressed about this or we're anxious about this, but I'm not like, oh, the worst is already happening. Like this is, I'm preparing for the worst because that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, what's the worst that could happen?
What's the worst could happen?
Like, nah,
see,
it'll be fine.
I get to that. What is the worst that could happen? And then I think about it, and then I go, oh, I don't want to do that. But it's sort of like this, like, I can see all of the different multiverses, or I can see into the multiverse.
Yeah.
And whether there's 1 out of 900 billion chances that this could go the worst way, I'm so scared of that one, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
Again, that's a me needing to go back to therapy problem more than anything.
I think you guys have like the same kind of anxiety.
Very possible.
Yeah.
Than I do.
I also like really don't like letting people down. Like if you are in my life, if we're friends or family, anything, like I value you probably more than people realize. And so like if something were to happen and I feel like I would let that person down, even if like they're totally fine with it, but if in my heart I'm like, I am letting this person down because like I care about you so much, like I don't want to let you down in any way. And I really hate it when people are upset with me because I try really hard. Like I'm always taking everybody's feelings and everything before myself, which is not always healthy and the best route. But like in situations where I feel like I'm gonna let someone down, my anxiety just like goes through the roof because that's just something personally that I struggle to mentally handle. And so he'll have to like bring me down to earth sometimes where it's like, it's okay. Like if people are upset with you over this, but this is something that's good for your mental health, like they should understand that. And because like, if, you know, if they're important to you and you should be important to them and that kind of thing. But
are you familiar with the Enneagram?
I think so.
It's essentially, so there are, you know, there's the astrological signs that people identify with. There's also, what is it? The where you're like the ENFJ and all of those, what are those, like the different personality types. What are those?
The
Riggs-Beyer. I don't know what it's called. Anyways, the Enneagram is essentially a classification of 9 different personality types, and I'm not going to be able to articulate it in the way that I want. But people who are a 1 on the Enneagram scale tend to align with what you're describing here. Like it's more rooted in people pleasing, despite the negative repercussions that it could have on my own life. That like. I just want there to be peace. I just want to be, you know, a good boy or a good girl. I want to be seen as good, whether that fucks me in the end or not.
Yeah.
So not to diagnose you, but it sounds like you're a 1 on the Enneagram.
Yeah, I definitely had a bigger problem with people pleasing like earlier in my life, and I've started to make more healthy boundaries. But I do care about people a lot. And like if someone were to do something to me that I would never do to them, like that really hurts me too. But like I have gotten better at like saying no and doing things like that. But like kind of pushing it back to like KatAndCrew, we've had a lot of really amazing feedback, but we have gotten one bad review.
And it ruined her month.
Yes. Yeah, I was so upset about
it. It does. Now, was it an authentic?
That lady sucks, dude.
Not to
think about her.
Yeah.
Well, not to grant them any credence, but like, was it something relevant? Like, was it something that was there had an element of truth and that's why it hurt, or was it so out of left field that how could anyone say that?
I don't want to put anybody on blast because this is like a public forum.
There's one public review, so I think they're going to be able to find it.
Well,
I could censor that.
They purchased something and broke it, meaning that they ruined the integrity of the piece.
Okay.
And they broke it, and then they gave us a review that we have poor quality items.
That's a them problem.
It's definitely a them problem, but
yeah.
it was our very first negative
It's our only negative review.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So now that we have a negative review and it shows up because we're not going to delete them.
It's like you see the most unbelievably talented person on a YouTube video and there's one thumbs down and you think, who is that one person? But there's always somebody. There will always be somebody.
Yeah. And also it's like, kind of going back to, I've mentioned to you offline a few times about like our first run of like screen printing stuff did not go very well. And like that really upset me because we worked so hard to create these products. And now I have these things that I love, but like I don't want people to have anything that's not 100% perfect. And we have friends who are like, oh, just like put it up at a discounted rate or people will still buy this kind of thing. But it's like, it's hard because you want people to have it and you're like, yeah, I could put it at a discount, but then you have these things that aren't to your standard out in the world that people are using.
Right.
And that's really hard for me too, because again, like we are so passionate about this and especially like drawing something and putting my designs on things, like that's like a very intimate experience. Like I'm sitting there drawing for as many hours and thinking about how I want to do it and then figuring out how it's going to look on a shirt and what the message is that is going to be on it and who's going to buy it and like that experience. Like it's just very like I wouldn't say emotional, but like there's a lot of my heart that goes into it.
It's very personal.
Very personal. Yeah, that's the right word. So it's very personal. And so when I'm expecting something for the amount of time I'm putting into it and it's just not to my standards, or you know, you get a review about something that's not necessarily your fault, but you've put all of this like time and energy and love into it. I think that that's why negative reviews hurt so much. And I also wish that people were a little bit more forgiving of small businesses. We have like on our website, you know, this is handmade. Like nothing's going to be identical. There are going to be some inconsistencies and imperfections because we're literally making it to order with our hands. And so anyone can go on our website and be like, oh, like, let's get this skull planter, or, oh, let's get this piece of jewelry or whatever. But like, I'm sitting there hand picking each stone. I'm saying like, what goes into this? So this bracelet looks different than any other bracelet that you're going to have. And things like that, just so like people understand, like it literally is just us two doing all of this. It's not like we have these huge machines doing it. Like there are going to be imperfections.
We make everything in a 9 by 8 foot bedroom.
Everything is made in the room you're in currently right now.
Or within the 4 walls of our house. But this is our studio. This is where we make.
We do concrete stuff in the garage because it gets messy. But
yeah. So the difference between expectations and hopes for whether it's the next 365 days or as far out as the 5 years, where's the gap between what you hope to accomplish and what, you know, I don't know if you guys believe in the whiteboard philosophy that, you know, or manifesting things, but what are some things you're trying to manifest and what are some things that you like actually expect is achievable within this next 5 years as far as your long-term plan? Because anything out further than 5 years is maybe a little foolish to think about. I don't know, but that's just a personal, who knows, whatever is going to happen. Just, anyways, what do you expect?
Sorry, I'm going to have another coughing fit.
How dare you? On my podcast, you think you can clear your throat?
I'm trying. I'm trying not to breathe, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
It's just getting redder and redder.
Yeah.
Please enjoy this next coughing fit break, brought to you by KatAndCrew.com.
I just want to remind everybody one more time that this episode is brought to you by KatAndCrew.com. It doesn't just feature them, but they are also offering A.D.H.Deep-Dive listeners and viewers exclusive content. You can get 10% off of your final purchase through February the 24th by going to KatAndCrew.com. Enter the promo code Monday at checkout and get 10% off your final purchase plus a free special gift inside your order. You're not going to see that order at checkout. It's just going to be a nice, fun little surprise when you open up the box, when it lands on your porch. You're going to get a timely delivery. You're going to get a really cool special gift. You're going to get 10% off that final purchase by going to KatAndCrew.com and entering the promo code Monday, M-U-N-D-A-Y, for 10% off your final purchase. Thank you to Cat and Crew for sponsoring this episode of the show and also for being my guests. So let's get back to that conversation, huh?
There was something we were about to transition into, and then you so rudely interrupted me with your
I'm so
throat
sorry.
clearing. Sort of expectations for the next 5 years versus what you realistically believe you can accomplish, and what are those things you're really shooting for?
So at the end of this past year, we did a huge order of all new stuff. So we want to start producing all new stuff. We've had pretty much the same line of products on the website for the last year. A few new things here and there, but we want to do like a completely new launch of products. We have a whole list of stuff coming out. And that stuff is for sure happening because we have all the supplies to do it. Mm-hmm. We just have to start making things. A couple things are, brand new items with brand new materials that we've never done before. And we're also kind of taking not necessarily a brand shift, but focusing a little bit more on certain styles than we have in the past, and trying to hone in a little bit on what makes us so special. Not just like, oh, we make home decor, but like, what do we make? Like, what do we specialize in? What's our main focus? And we have a lot of aspirations for that. So I think, within the next year, a lot of new stuff that's coming out, and then seeing how successful that is, and then also moving more into clothing, because we have a lot of ideas for that. It's just getting the equipment we need. We have tons of designs, and kind of going a little bit more into the clothing route. Cool. Than just like a couple of shirts here and there.
Andrew, do you have anything specific that you want to have Andrew's touch on?
I know we're like really heavy into the product development stages of things right now. And even on our website, you'll see Katy she designs everything, and I'm the make shit happen guy.
Sure.
It
actually says that in your bio too. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
If something needs to happen, I'll make it happen. But so right now, product development, we need to get ourselves in gear and focus on actually doing the stuff that we want to get done. Well, I don't know if you can hear, our dogs are freaking out right now.
I actually can't.
There you go.
Just getting, now that we've received everything, I think we got our last package yesterday.
Yeah.
Now we can take our free time and start product development and everything like that. So,
which is like a whole other thing too. Like, you can't always plan for all these things to happen.
Yeah.
And so like we bought a bunch of stuff for a new product, and I got it and it didn't work.
It was the wrong size.
It was the wrong size. And so then I had to order all new stuff, even though I haven't made any money off of the stuff I've already purchased, in order to make the thing. And then you have to wait for that stuff to get in the mail. So now we're good and it works.
Well, I also mean kind of in like a personal sense too, that like, do you hope / expect to be like, do you want Cat and Crew to be full-time so you can leave the side stuff? Or do you like this remaining more of something you can apply passion to, not demand? Like, do those fit into those expectations?
They do. So we would love for this to be our full-time 100% thing, right? The working for yourself aspect of it. It's just right now we are taking the time to figure out what this business is and get to that because neither of us have the means to just start paying rent on a building right now.
Sure.
And it's a fear of diving into the deep end, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's been times Katy's been very stressed at work, and I'm like, why don't you just quit? And it's like, well, I can't because I have bills.
Mm.
And that's the terrifying thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, we're just applying our free time and passions to it till we get to a point where it's like, oh, we could make this happen. And I think that since the business is self-sustaining to this point, that we're on track for that. We don't necessarily have a timeline for it,
right?
But we are on track for our goals, I would say.
Good. Yeah, and I like to take risks, but with this type of thing, I'm very cautious because I don't want to rush anything. Like, I just want it to be done correctly. And, you know, we're both very fortunate where we have really good jobs and we live comfortably currently. And so to quit our 9 to 5 to just focus on the business, like we have to be pretty level on the income we get from the business to match what we're currently bringing in.
Sure.
There'll probably be a little bit of fall off with that, just because, you know, you're making and selling things and it's a small business. But we are very, very confident that KatAndCrew can be really successful. And, you know, we have a really amazing following and we really love all the people that support us. And it's just so crazy to me, like how much people like our small business and show up for us because, you know, you start out thinking, yeah, we're going to start this and, you know, people are going to like it and people are going to, you know, buy some of our stuff. But you don't think in a million years that someone is going to come to your booth constantly and buy a pair of earrings, the same pair of earrings every single time, because when they're out and about and someone sees their earrings and it's our little gold tooth earrings that we make and sell, and they're like, wow, that's so cool. And the person literally gives them the earrings like out of their ear and then come back and buy a new pair.
All right.
Like, that's just like so crazy to me.
That's cool.
And
that's a pay it forward mentality from a customer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, that's at the end of the day, yeah, making money is nice, but like, I don't do it for the money. Like, yeah, we want to do it full time and money is nice, but it's genuinely the doing what we love, making what we love, making those connections with people, building this community. Like, that's really what.
And that's why we don't pay ourselves out of it. We just want to invest back into the company and just keep making it better and better while also being able to live life and survive.
Like we referenced at the top, like one of the things you don't realize about doing the small business thing is you think, finally, I'm in control. But that's really overwhelming. And the power of having control over myself makes me feel out of control. So some people, I'm sure, kick back into liking the idea of having a boss. But that ain't me. So, okay, I'm sure we've referenced it plenty of times, whether at the header or in some sort of pre-roll. But where can people go to buy your stuff? What kind of stuff is, you know, if this episode's airing on the 20th of February, what kind of stuff is popping right now that you'd like to see sold a little bit more? Yeah, just give yourself a plug.
Well, our website is www.KatAndCrew.com. We're also on Instagram.
Spell
K-A-T.
There you go.
K-A-T. My name is Katy, K-A-T-Y. So Kat, K-A-T, and Crew. We're also on Instagram and Facebook. Hopefully TikTok soon.
I'll snap.
And then we make home decor, like banners and planters and votives, more like alternative style stuff. We make jewelry, mainly bracelets and earrings and rings. And we have wax melts. We've done candles a few times. I don't think those.
We don't have those on our website.
No. What else we got?
Skull wax melts.
Yeah, skull wax melts. I have some prints available. But yeah, I don't know. You buy whatever you like, whatever speaks to you.
Anything else y'all would like to lob out there for any plugs or vendor events coming up soon, or is that not happening till the summer?
Currently we don't have anything scheduled, but we do have some new stuff coming out. It's literally off screen right now. It's right here. I have something brand new that I'm finishing up, and that'll be available soon.
Well, then what'd you say, Andrew? Sorry.
Keep your balls peeled.
Keep your balls peeled.
Yes.
So, I'm going to cut this part of the podcast, but maybe my eyeballs could get a glimpse once it ends. Okay, wait, don't pull it up yet. Don't pull it out yet. Because we're going to actually add some intention to the ending. So thank you guys for joining, and for the stuff that we haven't talked about very publicly. All that information will be available at the start of the podcast as far as codes and that go. But yeah, thank you guys for coming onto the A.D.H. Deep Dive. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Yeah.
First time podcasting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, first podcast for KatAndCrew?
Yeah.
Oh,
First
man.
time podcasting for either of us in general.
Yeah, forever.
It's my absolute honor. All right. So I'm going to cut the podcast. You guys hang out on the line. Thank you. We'll see you next week.